Hello, everyone. This is Tashina Gonzalez, and I am here with my partner, Melkiah Newman, and we are representing Healthy Pontiac We Can Coalition. And over the next few weeks, we are going to be walking you through a series on surviving grief and loss during COVID-19. So this is a mental wellness webinar series sponsored by Healthy Pontiac We Can Coalition. So just a little bit more about Healthy Pontiac. The Healthy Pontiac We Can Coalition promotes healthy lifestyles for people in Pontiac by aiming to improve health outcomes, increase accessibility, and opportunities to be healthy in public spaces, and enhance mind, body, and spirit. So we want to be a pool for resources and get information out. And with everything that is going on right now, we thought the most important subject would be centered around emotional wellness and health. So just a part of the leadership of Healthy Pontiac, and this information will be available later, so don't worry about writing it down. But we have Jessica Williams that represents Oakland County Health Division, Lisa Braddocks of the Greater Detroit Area Health Council, and Jennifer Lucarelli is also a co-chair. You can see on the bottom how to get in touch with Healthy Pontiac via their Facebook page, Twitter, their actual website, their email, as well as their phone number. And again, we are your co-host. I am Tashina Gonzalez. I am a holistic wellness coach and health and wellness educator, and I run Viva Activa Education Services. And Melkiah Newman is the team supervisor at CNS Healthcare Anti-Stigma Program. So at any point in time, we wanted to make sure that you had available mental health resources. Again, we will provide these slides for you. But if you feel triggered at any time or need immediate assistance, please feel free to turn this off and get help immediately. So we have here the crisis text line, National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, warm line to aid persons with mental health. You also have the option of calling CNS Healthcare. And then additional mental health resources, Oakland County Crisis Line, Wayne County Crisis Line, Macomb County Crisis Line, the Trevor Project, NAMI, or the National Alliance on Mental Illness, and Honor Community Health Behavioral Health Helpline. And then we also have some specific COVID-19 resources. So you can get in touch with the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, Disaster Distress Helpline. You also can get information from the State of Michigan website, the World Health Organizational website, Oakland County Health Department website, or the Oakland County Community Health Network website for COVID-19 specific information as well as support. So with that, as we go into this journey, we always know that it is important that we share our stories. If somebody is going to speak into your life, you want to know exactly why, where they come from, and what authority they have. So very clearly, I am not a certified mental or emotional health professional in any way, shape, or form, no psychologist. But I am a person that is extremely passionate about this subject. You can see me here as a baby, looking as a very happy baby. But unfortunately, I had a very abusive childhood that I experienced every type of abuse. So emotional, physical, as well as sexual abuse. And that had an extreme effect on me. So I struggled in my early years with my emotions, eventually developing depression. I would hold most of my emotions inside. By the time I was 14, suffered from migraines and back aches and popped Excedrin like it was candy. And by the time I was 18, 19, over abusing alcohol, other destructive behaviors, until finally I reached out for help. So I know the struggle that it is, and it makes me so much more passionate to be able to help other people. So I was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder because I had blocked out my childhood, and when it came back, it caused a lot of trauma. So I was medicated for anxiety and depression at the time, did a couple years of talk therapy. And at the time, I also experienced, I was able to get into some vitamins and natural support to help me as well. So throughout the years, I've been mostly stable, but still with everything that's going on, death of family members, and more recently, an extremely messy divorce in the past 5 years, there's always been some ups and downs and battles with my depression, which is social and psychologically based. And so I continue to work on my mental and emotional health and try more and more to share my story with other people so they feel okay to share theirs as well. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Malkia so she can share with us her story.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is such an honor to be able to come to you today in this capacity. I'm really, really happy to be a part of the Healthy Pontiac Weekend Coalition. And when they started talking about community champions, I felt like it was really important for us to plug in the mental wellness portion of health. A lot of times when we talk about health, we focus in on the physical, but your body and your mind are not separate. We're all one being. So we do need to focus on the total person. This is a picture of me when I was 18 months old. And my mom told me the story that when she was taking me to the photographer to take this picture, she did not know if he would be able to make me smile, because the first 18 months of my life, I had never smiled. And this is the first smile that I ever smiled. Now, I've been working for CNS Healthcare now for over 15 years. I am not a licensed professional. I'm what they call a peer, a person with lived experience who uses my own lived experience as a tool to educate others. And I used to hear people talk about infant mental health, and I used to think, why would a baby need mental health? But if you think about childhood and you think about babies, most babies, when they come, they're giggly, they're laughing, they're smiling. But I was not that baby. And I know that there was a lot of anxiety in my mom's life, my dad's life, when I was conceived, when I was born. Um, and I was a very anxious child growing up. I was also abused sexually as a child by a close relative, someone that I loved dearly. I didn't know how to process that. So by the time I got to my teens as well, I was acting out. I was angry. I was rebellious. I was afraid of needles, so I never really did get into drugs. Even though in the 70s, late 60s, early 70s, that's when do your thing, do what you want to do. Everybody was doing something. Um, but I didn't get into drugs, but I hate to say it, but sex became my drug of choice. I got pregnant early, um, and I dealt with a lot of depression, even from my late teens. And most of my adult life was marked by illness I didn't know I had. I was diagnosed in my early 40s with bipolar disorder, which is the mood swings, the lows of depression, which are obvious and evident to see, but then also the highs, the manic episodes where you uh, do things that are, I would go for days without sleep. I would do a lot of risk-taking behaviors, and I never knew that it was an illness. I thought it was a personal failing on my part. I got saved in my early 20s. I was in church most of my adult life, and even that would bring temporary relief, but never long lasting relief. I did everything that they tell you to do in church. I prayed, I fasted, I did outreach to others, read my Bible, sang in the choir, was on the usher board. Work, 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 work. But it never relieved the symptoms of the depression and the suicidal thoughts that I battled most of my adult life. My daughter was my miracle. She was what God used to keep me on the earth until he could get me to a place where I could find the help that I needed. In 2004, I was suicidal. I was homeless. A friend referred me to CNS. I came through the doors in 2004. Within a year, I had my own place, which I hadn't had in a while. I had stabilized with the medications and the other supports that I received through CNS. And then the opportunity for the job that I do now opened up. It was a 1-year grant program. And after that first year, we didn't even know if we were going to have a job. But the county, it was funded through Oakland County and Community Mental Health, as well as SAMHSA. And the county was so impressed with the work we did, they extended that grant for another year, and then they made us a permanent part of CNS. Next slide, please. So as you can see, I'm not shy, and I talk about my experiences because I know that it helps people to know that there is life after diagnosis. If you're out there and you're struggling, just because you experienced the symptoms of a mental health condition, it doesn't mean that you have a diagnosis. All of us, especially now with the crisis that we've been experiencing, will experience the symptoms of a mental health condition: the isolation, the anger, the frustration. Your eating habits can be affected, either eating too much or not enough. You might be sleeping too much or not enough. Sometimes men, their anger is escalated during that time. There may be more acts of violence against those that you love. Those don't necessarily mean that you have a diagnosis, but it's a good place to start by going and seeking help. It was the best thing that I ever did in my life, to find out that there was a name for what I had. There was medication that I could take that would make a difference. And it wasn't just me. It wasn't just a moral failing or a weakness on my part. It had a name, and it was something that I could manage. And my life has been amazing since then. I've been married 4 times. I've gone through 3 divorces, so I know a lot about grief and loss. But I'm hopeful, even with the struggles that we've experienced in my current relationship. I'm hopeful that there is help. There is hope. I'm so much more than a diagnosis. So now we wanted to share with you why we're passionate about this subject. And now we want to talk a little bit more about grief and loss and how it affected us personally. So Tashina, thank you so much for sharing your story. It takes a lot of courage to open up and share. But can you share with us how grief and loss affected you?
So for me, when I experience grief and loss, I tend to withdraw. And so thankfully, during this period of time that we're referring to, I have not had a very close person that has passed for me, but I have had some friends that have passed. And so that's obviously, this is all unexpected. Like, so many people were just taken from us in a short amount of period. And so me feeling for my friends who have lost their parents, or individuals that have lost their best friends. And I know for me personally, I did grieve the loss of my freedom. Every single time there was an extension of stay-at-home order, I would like get into a state of depression for an entire day, because I'm by myself in my house. The holidays that have passed in the past 2 months, I would be spending time with my nieces and nephews and my family, and I'm just sitting at home by myself. And so my tendency and how I deal with it is to withdraw, to isolate, to just stay in the bed and try to avoid it.
So what do you do to cope, Tashina, when you're feeling those feelings?
Well, like you, I always start with my faith, for sure. Always lots of prayer on a daily basis, Bible reading in the morning, listening to spiritual music. And then one of the things I always say is, if my own thoughts don't work, I want to put other people's thoughts in there. So I have a list of positive affirmations that I can go through. I also try to listen to positive audiobooks and minimize the other negative, right? So it's important to be informed, but I choose how to be informed. So But when we were going through the beginning of this, I would go and find one article. I'd go right to the website. Okay, what's the status of it today? That's great. And just avoid the rest of it. And then just getting into some other holistic practices, like doing my deep breathing if I'm feeling, making sure I'm going for a walk every single day, doing things like making sure that I eat well, vitamins, essential oils, anything I do that can improve my mood.
And what things should you avoid?
Definitely, like I just said, minimize that negative coming in, because if you're already feeling negative, why pile onto that? And make sure that you are eating right. We want to indulge. We want to overindulge in alcohol, overindulge in food. This is not the time to do that. I am a holistic wellness coach and I believe in the 80-20 rule, and I will have a glass of wine on the weekend, but this is not the time to indulge, because that's just going to lower your defenses and lower your mood. And just, if you have a pattern of negative behavior, make sure, know your signs, know your triggers, so that you can avoid and not go into those negative patterns.
Great. Thank you for sharing.
So with that, I will turn it over to you. So how did you cope with grief and loss? How does it affect you?
Like you, I tend to isolate. Most of my adult life, like I said before, I was affected by the obvious signs of bipolar, which are the depression. And it surprised a lot of people that knew me personally when I came out and started doing this job, because they never knew that side. I compartmentalized my life. I had a face that I had for church, and a face that I had for work, and a face for the family. And when things got really difficult, I would shut myself away, sometimes for weeks and months at a time. Um, and it made it extremely difficult for me to make decisions. I wouldn't trust my thoughts. Um, I was very fearful of people, of opening up to people, because I didn't know if they would be accepting of me, all of me. I felt like I was flawed, that I, a horrible person. If people really knew the real me, they wouldn't love me. So I had to have these false faces, and try to project the person that I thought people wanted me to be. And I wasn't being my true, authentic self.
So what did you do to cope?
Again, my faith played a huge role in that. And I often tell people that I talk to God and he talks to me, and I don't take medication for that. But God is so good to me. I know he's good to all of us, but he's so good to me because he makes it simple for me to understand. And one day he asked me this question: if you had a friend that was going through a very difficult time and they came to you, what would you do for that friend? And I said, I'd do everything I could. I moved heaven and earth to try to help that person. He said, if you have that amount of caring and compassion for other people, why can't you have it for you? And that was a revelation for me. I had to learn that it's okay to take care of me, that it's okay to celebrate me, that it's okay to love me. I didn't love myself with all of the negative things that had impacted me early on. I used to despise myself. I couldn't even look myself in the mirror many days. I wasn't happy with the person that I was. But when he took me through that exercise, it helped me to realize that I'm not the worst person on the planet, that it's other people who have done horrible things and God still loved them too. So it's okay to be me. It's okay to love me. It's okay to take care of me. And that was when I started really embracing self-care, doing the things that, to help me address stress and loss, breathing exercises. I love deep breathing. Oh my God, it's free.
Right.
I never knew, that most of the time, especially when I was under stress or pressure, I don't breathe, I pant. And I had to learn to fill my lungs with air so that my brain could get the oxygen it needed to make the quality decisions that it needed to make. I learned that it's okay to make mistakes. I stopped berating myself for making mistakes. I stopped dwelling on the negative and started to celebrate the positive in my life. I surround myself with like-minded people. I don't like to be around people who are negative, who are complaining, who are abusive. I try to surround myself with people. I mean, we live in a world, we're going to be around those types of people, but my inner circle of people are people who think like me, that want to be a positive influence for change in the world, that want to be positive, that want to embrace and love people and help to make a change.
And what things should you avoid?
Well, I know I have to avoid alcohol. I don't even do occasional alcohol. For me, it was so much of a crutch in those days that I just avoided altogether. I am not as physically healthy as I would like to be. I'm working on that part of my life, but I do know that I feel better when I eat healthier. I do
Yes.
know I feel better when I get good sleep. I try to avoid uh, negativity, negative self-talk. I talk back to myself, sometimes out loud, because sometimes thoughts are like gerbils on a wheel. They just keep going and going and going. And I had to interrupt those negative thoughts that would tell you're never going to amount to anything. You're never going to have anything. You're never going to come out of this. Nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to get better. That's a lie. I had to call a lie a lie. You know,
Yep.
I don't have a crystal ball to the future. I don't know what the future is going to hold, but I believe that because my past has had so many good things in it, that there's still good things for me. And that's what I'm reaching towards, the good things. I avoid the news. I avoid the news, it's only, I take it in snippets. I try to minimize it. In fact, I was very surprised because I avoided the news. I didn't know that the protests and the solidarity around the racism in this country had taken on an international platform. And even that helped to elevate my mood. We are in a tremendous opportunity right now. And instead of focusing in on the negative things that I see and the negative things that people do, I focus in on the positive things. There are so many people that are caring for people that they don't even know, that are praying for people that they don't know, that are opening up their hearts, opening up their wallets, opening up their homes. People are doing wonderful things, and I focus on those and try to avoid the things that aren't.
Absolutely. So that is what we had to share with you today, just our introduction. Over the next few weeks, again, we're going to deep dive into the subject of grief and loss, how to manage grief and loss, how to support others, and then end with discover the hero in you. So what you see on the screen right now is how you can connect with me. Again, I'm a holistic wellness coach and I do all aspects of holistic wellness, but I do have a specific playlist for emotional, mental, wellness and motivation. So you can find that on my YouTube channel. I also do lives on Facebook and Instagram regularly, as well as you can see my email address if you have any questions. And then this is how to connect with Melkaya. So you can see her phone number, her email address, as well as the website to get additional information. So once again, we greatly thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you all in 2 weeks when we deep dive into grief and loss and how to deal with that. Thank you.